Hey, everybody. Welcome to Comic Book Curation Part 2. Now, as much as I like Jack, and we all like him, if I can speak on Inquisitor's behalf, he does make technical errors from time to time and cause the stream to crash, unfortunately. Now,
I like buttons.
we're more than willing to forgive him going forward. How about that? Let's just leave it at that. Yes,
I
hello
pressed the
again,
red
everybody.
shiny candy-like button.
And Ebony joined us. Yay, everyone's here. Well, yeah, if anybody still has the old chat open and there's other people still over there, by all means, provide them with the link to our
Unfortunately, the chat has closed at this
Has
point.
it?
So, yes.
God
Hopefully
damn it.
everyone's seen the thing.
Yeah. Well, I was sitting there contemplating for a second of I don't know, maybe we should just wrap it up there, but I've got a fun comic to pitch. I know you guys, of course, got comics to pitch, and we have one or two more stories that are like just too fun to ignore. And plus, we just found out that Bryan Singer admitted that he was a rapist. So,
And apparently Frank Castle is invading Asgard with issue 2 of the Punisher, and was it the Kill Crew?
Is that a mighty magical goat?
I guess. And he's fucking towing his van.
Well, it's not going to drive itself across the Bifrost.
Oh my god. It's silly.
Okay. So anyway, where were we at? Quiz was in the middle of showing us some strange shit. I don't know why I could close the old chat now because we don't need that anymore. We'd already talked about Spider-Gwen.
Speaking of Spider-Gwen, this is what Frosted Glass asked me to check on Twitter. Tired of not being able to wear white? New Tampax Pearl Active.
Nice. I love it. Hold on. Where is that on Twitter? Let me quickly retweet and like that shit. Guys, I'm telling you, you gotta read Ghost Spider. It's so teenagery, written by. Okay, so you guys are all joking. Oh, boomer, you fucking dropped the stream and so forth. Okay, right. Yeah, I hear you. That's the essence of a boomer joke. You don't know boomer until you've read a bunch of 40 and 50-year-old people thinking they're aiming comics at 16-year-old girls and missing so badly. Like, I'm like a teenager and I love talking to my friends and social media is important. I'm going to take a selfie of me now. Oh my God, where's the lipstick? Let's talk about boys. I'm a powerful woman. You can't tell me what to do. That's what teenagers like, right?
Dude.
That comprises about 50% of that comic.
And you want us to make a video to read that comic.
That's right.
I will need to get my roommate to take my guns out of the apartment. Because I know I will want to eat a bullet after one issue of that.
I don't know. I'll just feel like saying, hello, fellow kids.
Oh, man. That is well, you just gave me the idea for the thumbnail for that fucking video, didn't you? It's going to be Steve Buscemi, hello, fellow kids, with fucking Gwen Stacy's head. Jesus. I mean, it's so bad.
And I mean, still have to have the Steve Buscemi eyes, though.
Yeah, well, yeah. And I sit here and say jokingly, you guys have got to read it, and I'm speaking to chat. But I mean, of course, we've got to read it and let them know. We can't expect them to read it and suffer through it. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, no, we would never put our audience through that.
We're here to tell them about the crap, not force them to go through it. We're here to pitch the good comics, not the bad ones. Unless, of course, it's legendarily bad, which is one I have coming up. But let's talk about this story real quick, because I've heard, I don't know why everyone's talking about it simultaneously. It must be because of there's a promotional flurry. Quentin Tarantino confirms again that his Star Trek film will be rated R, and I don't want it. Powerful woman in charge. Because we're over at the Mary Sue reading this. Another day passes without a proper announcement of a new Kelvin timeline Star Trek film, and instead the promise of a Quentin Tarantino helmed Star Trek film looms over our heads. According to Empire in their print edition, as verified by comicbook.com, wow, you really do never leave your apartment, huh? They can't go out and ask anybody anything at Mary Sue.
No, they just have to check on Twitter.
They couldn't go get the print version of Empire. So they're writing a story off of comicbook.com's story off of Empire's story.
Yeah.
So this is shill journalism to the third power.
Twitter is news, Polly.
All right, on we go. And I mean, we're here to like, okay, everybody knows about Quentin Tarantino and his R-rated Star Trek film, and there's no real news. It's just him saying, yeah, things are still in the mix. We're here at the Mary Sue to make fun of these retards. Well, excuse me, for their retarded development in their worldview. Yes, that's what I meant to say.
No, they're retarded.
No, Twitter's listening. Shh, disavow.
I don't give a shit if Twitter's listening. Fuck them.
YouTube has the ability to do automatic closed captioning. They have bots. Shh, disavow. To which I will reply, using the self-referential and journalism is always good. To which I will reply, unless the only reason it's rated R is because Bones says fuck at least 3 times, you can keep it. We've had enough drama with the Kelvin Timeline films, including Chris Hemsworth walking away from a potential 4th film because the story wasn't right. That the last thing we need is a Tarantino film, which is more about graphic violence of space travel than it is about the characters. I don't want shots of Uhura walking barefoot interspersed with Kirk graphically murdering Klingons. We don't need to see a lot of gore or violence to drive home the intensity of interstellar adventures. That's not what Star Trek is really about. Oh, you're going to fill us in there. Which one is this? Rachel Leishman? Is this Princess Weeks? Oh, it's Kate Gardner.
No, fake name.
Yes. Star Trek is about hope. Okay, whatever. It's about exploration and finding the right way to do things, not the easy way.
I'm just wondering.
It tells us.
Does Bones have a dead N-word storage sign in front of his infirmary?
Yeah. Well,
I'm sure they'll work in some racial epitaphs somehow.
Yeah.
It tells us how we can do better. How we too can find peace among the stars. That thematic line doesn't seem to line up with any of Tarantino's previous work. So unless he proves me seriously wrong, which people do on an hourly basis, I don't know why you'd find that surprising. This film won't necessarily capture the spirit of what makes Star Trek so good. It'll just be the Hateful Eight, but in space. Also, not for nothing, an R-rated Star Trek film cuts out any audience under 18 instead of having an easy-to-watch PG-13 adventure, which would generate more revenue. An R-rated excludes family and high school freshmen out of no high school freshman has ever snuck into an R-rated film. They never get to see them. Yeah.
No, never.
It's never happened. People are wholesome, damn it.
Yeah, I was fucking 17, 18, whatever the fucking limit is for R. I'm not even sure anymore. Who cares? Anyway, moving on. The cast seems excited about the project, and honestly, good for them. I'm glad they get to work with a director they admire, even if Tarantino's treatment of Uma Thurman and her response to female journalists means I personally do not admire. You know what? I'm done reading this article. I'm done reading this article, and I'll tell you why. Maybe I'm being a killjoy. Okay.
Oh.
Wow.
Understatement of the fucking decade.
I mean, the thesis for the entire website in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words. I said I wasn't going to read any further, but then I saw that. That's pretty gold right there.
I wonder what Dissenter looks like on the Mary Sue.
Oh, yeah. No kidding.
I'm sure it's hideous.
This is this is a bunch of fuckery. I mean, the treatment of Uma Thurman, she's a woman, and he, with their, do you guys know the whole story about Quentin Tarantino asking her to film that dangerous scene where she was driving a car and she didn't really want to do it, and they ended up settling out of court because she did receive an injury during the filming?
Yeah, I heard about it.
Okay. Well, that's the whole story. And that's the treatment, because of his treatment of Uma Thurman, because she's a vagina haver. Like, if he had done it to a male, you wouldn't have cared because, he's injured some male stars filming movies too, right? That he's settled with them too. This is what I heard. I mean, this is the thing, right?
I will have you know that men are just effective women.
Okay. Well, I mean, all this is alleged, but, and his response to female journalists, you know about that one?
No.
All these female journalist stands up and says, why didn't you give Margot Robbie more to say in your film? She's a strong actress. She's been in lots of films. She's, gotten an Oscar nomination or whatever the fuck. The journalist went on. And I'm just wondering why you would limit her speaking role to such a degree. And Quentin Tarantino was on a panel when being asked this, and he leaned forward. He says, I simply reject your premises. And that's all he said. And that's his response to female journalists, is apparently sexist. He wrote multiple films with strong female characters, which is what you're always bitching about on the Mary Sue, yet you still got a fucking problem.
I just don't.
Jackie Brown is all around like the strongest female character who's no one's sucker and she's no one's sex object. And she's the protagonist. And it's, by the way, depending on when you ask me, my favorite Tarantino film, it's always a toss-up between Reservoir Dogs and Jackie Brown. I can never decide which.
Unpopular opinion time. I don't think any of them are good. I don't like Quentin Tarantino as a director.
I liked all the movies he ripped off.
Right. I liked the first three, really. Like after that, I can't really say I was a fan of any of them. I didn't really enjoy any of them after the first three. And I'm not trying to say like his older stuff was better and do the hipster comment. It's just legitimately the only ones I actually really liked were Jackie Brown and Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs. That's it.
Yeah.
I thought you would have liked the Grindhouse films, Quiz.
Nope.
I've never actually seen those.
I find Quentin Tarantino to be pretentious and extremely overbearing. I don't like.
Have you noticed that he's aging like an old lesbian? Like he's starting to look like B. Arthur.
Hey, B. Arthur has been known as the sexiest woman alive.
She's been dead for like a decade.
B. Arthur's not dead, is she?
Pretty sure.
Yes, she is. Oh yeah, she's dead. She's been dead for a while. No, I'm referencing a Deadpool comic. Hold on, let me find it.
Dead Air.
All right. Hey, Dead Air's fine. What are we, Ranting Monkey over here? We don't care about Dead Air.
I think the viewers do.
Well,
Dead Air.
No. It's not Dead Air. It's Lacuna.
Matata?
No. It's a literary device. Look it up.
A literary device. This is an audio medium and visual.
Excuse me. What makes the Lacuna so powerful is the spaces in between the words. Because if you have nothing but words, it's just one constant hum. You see, the spaces are just as important.
Yeah, it's called breathing.
So let's check this one out. Dungeons and Dragons streamers and creators discuss the game's evolution of representation. This one's for you, Quiz. I don't think who wrote this one? Vivian Kane. I don't think I'm gonna make it through this whole one, guys. I really don't. In recent years, what's that?
I don't even need to get. Yeah, no, they're already wrong in the first fucking 3 sentences.
In recent years, Dungeons and Dragons has made incredible strides when it comes to making sure women feel included and represented in the game. More than a year ago, I wrote about how women were leading the D&D Renaissance.
As if Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman, the creators of Ravenloft and Dragonlance, 2 of the most popular Dungeons and Dragons fucking franchises, TSR franchises, weren't there from the beginning in the 70s. You fucking cunt. You don't know anything about Dungeons and Dragons. Stop fucking writing. Stop it. Just stop. You're wrong. Everything you say from here on out is just verbal diarrhea. You dumb cunt.
I'm just hearing Quiz question her nerd cred, and that's sexist according to modern vernacular.
Yeah, we're trying to decolonize the game space, man. What the fuck?
Yeah, we're trying to make it all inclusive for the women's.
I'm trying to colonize the game space.
And how that work was due, among other factors, to an increase in both women working on the game as creators and playing publicly for audiences on Twitch and other platforms. But, quote, women as a monolith is not the end all of inclusion. Going into the recent mega event of D&D Live, The Descent, I was curious to see how many streamers and creators present felt about the evolution of intersectional representation. Jesus fucking Christ. Why do you guys send me these art? Oh, fuck. All right. Tanya DePass of Rivals of Waterdeep acknowledges that the rise of women playing and even hosting their own shows is a great thing, but sees the need for more women of color and LGBTQ+.
God, get fucked!
Quote, it seems like when people talk about diversity in games, they go to women in games and then they stop. Here's a pink controller. Here's a women's t-shirt. And that's as far as it goes, she says. Diversity is everyone. It's not just race. It's not just gender. It's religion. It's ability and disability. And I feel there's room for growth. Yes.
You know what D&D needs? More people in wheelchairs.
I don't
get eaten by the zombie tyrannosaurs. Yes.
I got to tell you something, man. There is nobody, and I mean literally nobody, that doesn't think of D&D. And listen, if you play D&D, you play any kind of tabletop, dice-based, whatever the fuck, role-playing game along those lines, card-based, turn-based strategy, whatever. You're playing D&D, you're a misfit. You are. Look, I'm sorry. You're not a normal person. And that's fine. I'm not a normal person either. I read comic books. I'm really deep into them. That makes me not a normie. Okay? Whatever.
Nerds here.
But when you go over to like Magic the Gathering, all kinds of jazz like that, you know what I mean? You're going to find a bunch of fucking misfits because they like odd things and they like getting really deep into them and really far into them. Don't you tell me for a fucking second that this woman right here, right there, okay? She's a black woman, okay? A little bit overweight. Yes, so what? So are most D&D players. That she wouldn't come and sit up and say, you guys mind if I play D&D with you? And they're going to look at her and go, do you actually know how to play? And she's like, fuck yeah, I know how to play. They wouldn't say, yeah, because it's probably the first time they talked to a woman in a long time. I don't believe in this exclusion thing inside of the game space. I don't fucking buy it for a second.
Yeah, there's not a single person that plays any sort of tabletop game that will discriminate against anyone.
That's what I'm saying. No, Asian, in a wheelchair. Are you fucking kidding me? They're all misfits. They're like the most inviting people ever. They know what it's like to be outcasts. I mean,
hang on. There is an exception to that. It's when people that don't know what they're talking about come in and make demands.
Yeah.
That's when you're not accepted. If you come in and be like, well, we need to change this game because I don't like the direction it's going. You guys need to bend to my will. That's when nerds get upset.
Yeah, I say that's the major problem is when people come in and make demands of you. You're absolutely right about this whole misfit thing, Polly, because the central tenet around it is that if everyone is an outcast, everyone treats everyone else who is an outcast on an equal plane. But when someone comes in with any sort of attitude, if they're coming in saying, you need to do this for me or because I said so, the very the second nature of any of those sorts of people that are outcasts will immediately say, go fuck yourself. I'm not doing that.
Yeah. And we've all had somebody at the table like that. If you've gamed with enough different groups or been at a convention or something like that, there's somebody that comes in and says, no, I don't like that rule. I don't want to do it. Or, hey, what we should do? We should fight for this instead of following the plot. And it's very frustrating. And when you get something that's even more bizarre to the game, like they want to talk about gay rights in D&D, how does that have anything to do with killing dragons? There are people that will be shunned because they don't fit in and they don't know the game. And they're not trying to adapt to the way the game is played. Mm-hmm. So it's more and more common now. I think that's what she's complaining about is she doesn't feel welcome because she comes in and intrudes. And she wants everybody to bend to her desires. And yeah, then people are going to push back. That would be the only exception I would make to what you said.
Well, you know what? You're not wrong. And James Colley, just by the way, says wheelchair-bound people are the favorite character type in D&D.
One people that can walk. Yeah.
And nobody can storm away from the table in anger. They can merely hold on. Let me unlock my wheelchair and slowly turn around and wheel away in anger. I've been by my local hobby shop, and I've told you guys this story. There was only one thing that I saw that was consistent amongst that group was and I'm not trying to offend anybody here. I've tried to understand this and I still don't get it, was the major cloud of body odor funk radiating off of them.
Yeah.
It was weird. I thought it was a stereotype. Holy shit, it wasn't. But other than that, it was fucking everybody, man. There were so many Asians there. There were so many brown people of every background. And because it was at a distance, I couldn't tell whether they were dark-skinned Hispanics, whether they were like, South Asian or, like Indian, like whatever. It was just every fucking buddy, man. There was girls there, fat people, skinny, fucking gangly people. Like, I don't buy this exclusion argument in tabletop gaming for a fucking second.
You're too skinny? I mean, come on. It's a bunch of like smelly fat dudes sitting around a table playing cards.
Well, I was gonna say, did you go there during a card flopper night?
Yeah, it was a Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, because
that's why it was.
I don't want to be stereotypical of that, but that's pretty typical of Magic the Gathering players.
One of our Friday Night Magic games was the winner got the special foil promo card or whatever. Everybody else got a bar of soap and a booster pack. The bar of soap was wrapped around, was rubber banded to the booster pack, and they all got the message, and it smelled a lot better the next week.
That's hilarious.
Good. I like it.
And I'm just, I remember Arch Warhammer. I remember Quiz. I came and told you about this stream that he had done back in the day. I think it was him and Sargon, where they were reading over an article, it was a stream they had done, and it was an old one from like a year and a half or 2 years ago. And they were reading over an article about 40K and the need for more representation in Warhammer 40K. And the thing that the journalist, whoever was writing it, the author of the article was writing, was talking to women who play 40K.
And all of them said, yeah, we've never had a problem.
Yeah, no problems whatsoever. And the last paragraph of the article, Arch postulated was meant to be the first paragraph of the article, and it was just rewritten as a conclusion. Just because we couldn't find any problems doesn't mean that they're not lying there under the surface. Like the whole article was, all of the first-hand accounts were, I don't know what you're talking about. They were mostly talking about the game. I mean,
I think
I'm going to actually, ladies in chat, a hint here. You want to go to a hobby store and say, I'm interested in starting to paint minis, or I'm interested in some different board games. Can you help me out? You will be rushed by guys to help you. Like, if you're even vaguely interested, and I'm not particularly D&D, but all kinds of card games, every franchise you can imagine has been turned into a tabletop game. It's not all fantasy Lords of the Rings style shit. Every fucking thing you can think of, every franchise you've ever loved has been turned into a game. Go to a hobby store. You tell me if there's an ounce of sexism or if it's the most inviting crowd you've ever seen. I walked in there and I thought I was going to get the get out of here, dude, bro.
Yeah, right.
Thing. You know what I mean? Because I went in there and I had a leather jacket on with the collar up the way I normally dress. And I don't know.
You popped your collar?
Yeah, I popped.
You fucking Chad, get out of here.
I will have you know that the leather jacket I have is a precise replica of the jacket worn by Officer Alonzo Harris in Training Day, played by none other than Denzel Washington. You go check out that leather jacket and see if I saw that film, and I'm like, I need to have that jacket. And I found it. I looked up online and I found out where it was sourced from, and I got it.
Polly even walked into a store to shame the people, like, look, I've touched vagina. And they're still for them.
Jesus Christ.
Actually, what was funny is like these guys tend to think that I shop at like the Unicorn Store, to name Brie Larson's failed online movie, because there's a whole bunch of women who work there and all kinds of women that go to this shop, and they're like, it's not true, and I'm like, that's bullshit. It's funny, none of the women are there into painting minis. They're all into the non-expansion pack single player card editions, if that makes sense. Like the whole game is contained within that box. There's not a million editions of it or whatever.
Deck builders.
You know what I mean?
Deck builders do have expansions and shit. You're talking about things like
But it's not like a collectible card game where you gotta buy packs.
Yeah, well, no, even then, there's some that have that sort of thing too. You're thinking about something like Coup or One Night Ultimate Werewolf, those sorts of games that have like, you know, card elements but are self-contained. That you don't have to buy expansions.
Yeah,
You know,
there's nothing else you need to buy, other pieces. And oh, by the way, yeah, you just jogged my memory. Werewolves and vampires, stuff where there's like a strong narrative story elements to it. Yeah.
Sparkly things, got it.
and so,
Well, hey, listen, women are, as a group, and if you're not, that's fine. But as a group, tend to be into really strong narratives in their stories. What I like a strong narrative every now and then.
I'm just saying they like sparkly vampires. That's all.
You know what? This Chad thing blows my mind. You guys got to show me what you mean by a Chad, because what I understand by it don't make no fucking sense to me.
you said dude bro, so I was just going with the Chad thing.
Well, I figured that they thought anybody that wasn't like, that didn't look like Boogie, the 2896 or whatever his numbers are, was a dude bro.
No, dude bros are very specific. You know, the frat boy sort of, you know, mentality.
Yeah, frat boy, not fat boy.
Yeah. I say, and I found it finally. This is the whole thing talking about B. Arthur. She's been called the sexiest woman alive. B. Arthur. Now Halle Berry is click B. Arthur.
Oh, Ryan Walters says it too. I've seen girls buying the Pokermans. Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, they love the Pokemon.
All of the Pokermen they're all about that.
Yeah, I've seen tons of women playing D&D. They play Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Magic. They don't play as much as the guys, but they do play it. And you know, they'll play like anything with good story, usually, you know, or like Clank. We get a lot of women to play Clank. Stuff like that. You know, cooperative games like Zombicide, I've gotten women to play that, like normies too, and they're like, oh, this is kind of fun, we get to work together as a team. They don't like competitive games the way men do generally.
Okay, hold on here, look, I have video evidence like that.
Oh, for Christ's sake, nobody cares about your stupid jacket.
No,
we know
this Chad Chav thing that I keep getting bugs the shit out of me. That's the leather jacket I was wearing when I was
collar isn't pop cool. Polly.
Not there, it isn't, because he isn't able to rock it with the proper respect that I do. Cal.
So you rock things with more respect than Denzel Washington. I got it.
I'm just saying. Look at this man. That jacket's proper, and I wanted it with that length and shit. Yeah, that shit's. Look, okay, no, listen. See, the collar is popped in the back, not along the top like a motorcycle jacket. Quiz, it's not my fault that you don't know how to look cool, man.
You don't need to keep rubbing it in that you can hang out with normal people and not get weird looks. All right, we get it. Shaming us like this.
You know what? This is not ultimately comic book related, but it kind of is. Not really, but I'll find a way to make it come back to that anyway. If you get, I come up against this from time to time, right? And it always fascinates me. How do you pick your clothes if you don't pick them out of movies? That's how I do it. I'm like, I want to look like that guy.
You know what? I look up pictures of other people and copy them. You know, usually out of Kmart ads, but because all my shirts come in 4-packs. Because I'm working class white trash. And I accept that.
Like, I just like, I don't know. I watch The Sopranos and it's like, yeah, that's the suit I want. And so went and got it, you know, or something that like was similar to it. I took screenshots, and when I showed up at the suit shop, I was able to like scroll along on my smartphone and go, see, I want something that looks like this. And they're like, oh, that's a such and such a cut. Because I'm not a super ultra fashion guy. I don't know the names of all this shit. I had to go looking online to find that jacket, and eventually did. I just don't get it. Like, if that's not how you shop for clothes, do people still go walk around malls and shit? Or what do they do? Just scroll around online clothing shops until they eventually come across something? I don't get it.
No, you go to the bargain bin and say, is this on sale? And they say, yes, it's 80% off. And then I buy it. That's how this works. Is it earth tone? Yes. All right. I'm done.
I haven't bought designer shit in a really, really long time, man. I get
Designer shit.
Yeah, I get like
I
since
don't
was
buy
in high
designer
school.
shit.
That jacket begs to differ. But no, like I buy all my pants out of thrift stores, man.
Well, admittedly, that jacket was brand name. It was. But
Although this does segue nicely into something I wanted to bring up. If you're looking for new shirts, you can go to my Teespring store.
Hey.
Just had to shamelessly plug there while you're defending your weird jacket choices.
My jacket choices are excellent. Do you have any idea the kind of play that I can get with that jacket and have gotten with it?
Well, I understand that, but
that
most
jacket's
of us,
a goddamn pussy magnet. It's butter soft and looks slick as fuck.
most of us can't do that.
He's pulling in the wicked hot slash, and you're just jealous.
Well, of course, but if you walk into
that's just crude, man.
if Polly walks into a comic shop, he's going to see 4 or 5 guys wearing the Matrix leather jacket, and they're going to be, shall we say, super plus size. And it took 4 or 5 cows to stitch together that jacket. Whereas he could pull off his jacket, they're not pulling any. They're just looking like flashers.
Okay, here's a quick lesson for you. Avoid cowhide. It's too hard. Unless it's a motorcycle jacket and you're actually seeking protection, or you're razor fist. Don't buy cowhide. It's okay. And there is lambskin, but it's too soft. You can actually scratch it with your nails. Yes, it looks great and it's the softest leather you can get, but it's too damn soft and you'll wreck it right away. Go sheepskin. That's the one I bought. It's halfway in between, nice and soft, but not too soft. Yeah. There's a little something for you guys. A little knowledge.
Do you get it treated or do you get untreated?
Oh, treated. Yeah, and I bought the tube of leather conditioner for it. It keeps proper.
Okay. Dude,
yeah,
I've got a fucking like motorcycle jacket. Because
I
ride a fucking motorcycle.
But like I said, if you're seeking protection, you actually ride a motorcycle, or you want an authentic motorcycle jacket, then yeah, rawhide definitely the way to go.
You want
absolutely.
Cowhide, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're looking for a nice halfway is usually pig hide, but it doesn't work for everyone. So you want something softer, something more supple, you go with lamb. I did work at a leather store, so
Jack has the most interesting history.
Yeah.
What kind of leather store there, Jack?
I worked in a leather store. I worked security. I worked you've done the whole thing, man.
Do they sell whips and chains too, Jack?
No, shockingly, they do not.
Okay.
No, I worked at a leather store. Most places I worked at in the last 15 years are all out of business. I am like a cooler. You know what coolers are at Vegas? They're the guys with awful luck that will sit next to you on purpose so you start losing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they did a great movie about it with William H. Macy. But I'm kind of that for retail establishments. So if you ever hire me at a retail establishment, chances are you're going out of business within the next 2 years.
But we are going to bring it back to comics here really quick. But it is connected to Inquisitor's bad taste. Max Landis accused of abuse.
I don't know how Mary Sue having a hate boner for Max Landis is, number one, anything new.
Okay, all right. He wasn't. He looks less institutionalizable with his head shaved. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
He should go for that look more often. And for a second, because of the shadows down here, I looked at the picture a little too quickly. I didn't realize that was a shadow. I thought he was doing the rock on devil's horns, but he's just pointing. So okay, that's better. That's fine. He's just pointing out at the audience, going, "Hey guys, that's cool." Max Landis is an alleged fountain of terrible, gross behavior. That's your first sentence.
Here's the thing. Okay, Max, if this somehow reaches out through the ether and gets to your ears, Max Landis, okay, nothing you have done warrants this sort of reaction from the Mary Sue. It's like, why do you defend social justice? I understand you live in Hollywood. You work in Hollywood. You kind of have to with some of these people. But they don't care about you. They could not give the slightest modicum of a shit. All right? As soon as any sort of, whispers of impropriety come out, they all descend on you like fucking piranha. Right? Tell them to go fuck themselves. Just saying.
I would, okay, get this. Okay, this is another Gardner one, I think. Yeah, Kate Gardner.
Kate Gardner,
yeah. Honey, you're right terribly. Like, just listen to this. Max Landis is an alleged, in italics, fountain of terrible, gross behavior. You're not funny. That was meant to be like, sorry, not sorry. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's your opening sentence. That's shit. That's shit. So, every so often, the internet. Why did you capitalize internet? Is it supposed to be capitalized? I don't think it is.
Supposed to be emphasizing it as if the internet is a person.
Okay. The internet reminds us of this with people coming forward to share stories of his abuse and mistreatment. Now, I'm not trying to be polygrammar guy right now. I'm just saying you're not even clearly telling the audience what you think you're telling them. Like, it's of his abuse and mistreatment, the abuse and mistreatment people have suffered at the hands of him, you mean?
Yeah. And
you understand what I'm saying? Like, the way that reads,
yeah,
you've got the action preceding, like, his abuse and mistreatment, meaning he's in possession of it. Like, it's been done to him.
Yeah.
Read in the active, not the passive voice, even though the whole sentence is passive, reading just this, just this part of the clause right there. His abuse and mistreatment. It's like, is he abused? No, he's doing the abusing. You have to read on to find that out. Yeah, you shouldn't have to do that. But let's go on to the next sentence.
Let me grab a Streamlabs quick.
Sure.
Thanks, Mike. Mike Parlett. And that deserves $10. We love this. I assume that's the leather story. Yes. And I got another one from Circus Zero. Polly, get your Streamlabs set up already. Thank you.
You know what, guys? I actually would have had it done earlier. I was planning on doing it. On doing some of the banking that was involved in it, because you got to attach your bank number to your PayPal and everything, and the PayPal comes before the Streamlabs. At least it does in the way that I'm going to do it. I don't know how other people are doing it, but that's the way I was going to do it. But then 3 days of vertigo that I really wasn't expecting, and today is the first day I felt well, and I had used up the sick days that were available on the research contract that I'm on right now. So I had a lot of stuff to do today, and then I had to stream tonight. So yeah, I'm going to be getting on it, but yeah, a lot of unexpected, I guess you'd call that IRL stuff happened. I have never had 3 days of vertigo in a row before, but I did now. Anyway, most of the people sharing identify as women.
Identify.
Now, get this. Referring to what? The internet reminding us, right? Okay. If you want proof to shut someone up who thinks Me Too has gone too far up, just point to the fact that Landis still has a career. Did you follow that quiz?
No.
Let me read it again. Most of the people sharing identify as women. If you want proof to shut someone who thinks Me Too has gone too far up, just point at to the fact Max Landis has a career.
That's a terribly worded sentence.
Yeah, no, just a sentence. If you want proof to shut someone who thinks Me Too has gone too far up. Okay, no, okay.
If you want to shut up someone who thinks Me Too has gone too far, you can point to the fact Max Landis still has a career.
Yes.
Read these things out loud. Because when we do, it's awful.
Yeah.
Despite the myriad allegations and the open secret status of his behavior. Alleged.
Oh man, I love this. Open secret status of his behavior. Like that one bitch that was talking about how horrible Max Landis was and she never fucking met him. And the reason why he said that he knew about this story of someone talking about him behind his back like this was because she was talking to him about him. And she didn't even know that was him that she was talking to. Are you fucking kidding me? Every single word out of your mouth is just hearsay, coming with the whole listen and believe bullshit that women have been spewing about the guy ever since he started his fucking career. Get fucked. Every single word out of your stupid mouth is wrong.
Now, I know who Whitney Moore is, but I'm not even trying to fuck around here because we do a lot of LGBT stuff. I thought Max Landis was gay. Is he actually just bi?
No, he's not bi at all. He's straight.
Oh, I thought Max Landis was gay. He's not?
You
No.
think of Bryan Singer.
No. I'm thinking of Max Landis.
Oh.
Yeah, no.
It's just, but Max Landis is really pro LGBT, so I was just mistaken in thinking he was gay.
Yeah, well, he's
Okay.
pro LGBT because he's in Hollywood.
No, that's fine. Like, I'm not even trying to. I'm like, seriously, I'm not even trying to fuck with Max Landis. I had just somewhere come across the impression that he was gay. I don't know. So he's not.
His effeminate. It's his effeminate manner and his voice. Yeah, I thought that he was gay for a while there too. Yeah.
I'd call his manner effeminate. You think his voice is effeminate too?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, see,
He's got a lisp. He's.
Yeah, I don't think it matters one way or another. I think this is just more accusations thrown at a guy because they could.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any real proof here. They're just trying to ruin him because somebody made an accusation. How many more people are they going to do this to? This is starting to look like the House Intelligence Committee on Un-American Affairs or whatever it was called.
Activities.
Yeah.
Activities, yeah.
Let me see if I can find that fucking video that Landis talked about that, because that was one of the most damning things when someone was sitting there talking shit to him or shit about him to him and didn't even know about it. They're sitting there saying like, "Oh yeah, I met him. He was such an asshole." You're fucking talking to him, you dumb cunt.
Yeah, this is the new Red Scare. We're going to call it the taint frightening, because taint, everybody's got a taint. And it's scary. So instead of Red Scare, it's the taint frightening. Everybody's scared of, instead of communists, it's just about sexual harassment that doesn't exist and never will exist. It's a bunch of nonsense. It's getting terrifying. I'd hate to be a celebrity right now.
See, here's the thing. It's just Whitney Moore is saying here, like, it's in short, it's like, I thought forgiveness was the way to go with him. I defended him. It doesn't seem that he ever got any better. And what she's referring to specifically is that in the ways that he tortured me was isolated to our relationship. I thought it was just between us that this was going on. And I thought there was no point in sharing the horrific, inhumane things he did to me. She does not specify. But I thought he was working on himself, but he wasn't. And it turns out he was doing it to other people. And that's that. And it's like, okay. And listen, Mary Sue, they really hate Max Landis. I'm not the biggest fan of the guy's writing, but it's like, you guys have a hate boner for this dude. You write every time something comes up about the guy, you're all up on him.
And so you don't like his writing for his movies. Have you read American Alien yet?
Yes, I have. American Alien is really good. Like when writing is good, it's good. His movies, I have not liked a single one of them. American Alien was really good.
No, I really liked Chronicle.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. Yeah, fair enough. Like, hey, listen, I don't ride Max Landis's writing the way that you like dismiss Frank Miller as being completely untalented.
I only say that Frank Miller's one comic, Polly. I don't know why you defend it so much.
What do you mean? What?
All-Star Batman and Robin. It's terrible.
No, you say you hated Sin City too.
Well, I don't like Sin City. Yes, I think Sin City is pretentious, but
it's
you know what?
I think you meant full of tension, is what you were trying to say there.
No.
Yes, it is.
No.
I
I think it's edgy boyness for edgy boyness' sake.
No, it's hard-boiled awesome, and you misunderstood.
Edgy boy. Anyway.
So angry about Sin City.
Xerxes was a little scatterbrained. Mike Parlett, if you're referring to the comic, not the character, yes, it was, but the majority of that was written before he stopped drinking. He's since stopped drinking, and
it's not an excuse, Polly.
It's a reason.
It's a reason. Exactly. Thank you, Jack. It's a reason. And if you want proof that the man came back with like all cylinders firing, look at the contracts he was given by DC immediately. Look at the insanely good work he's produced through Dark Knight 3, The Master Race. I cannot recommend that series enough. And then he did a fucking prequel to Dark Knight The Last Crusade, it was fucking brilliant. Like, I mean, come on. Because you haven't even given Dark Knight 3 a chance, man. Shit.
It's not that I haven't given it a chance. I just haven't read it yet. I'd also like to give a shout out to Circus Zero. He just donated $5. I've never donated to you, Quiz. I didn't know you had a Streamlabs. Enjoy. Thank you very much, Circus.
But Mike Parlett isn't wrong when he said it was a little scatterbrained. Yeah, I'm not going to deny that. And it's. I'll go further in the criticism. Some of the pages are clearly unfinished, and yet it was published. You can see that there's some pages that are worked on more than others. It's because he had an absolute deadline to finish it, and it's just clearly not his best work. And Frank, Jesus Christ, like, you know what I mean? Like it is what it is. There's no, I'm not going to try and defend that. It was clearly an unfinished work in terms of the art. It was unfinished.
Yeah. Night,
Anywho.
Kyle.
Night, Kyle.
Night, Kyle. Okay. So for those of you who stuck around,
thank you.
I do have, thank you. Absolutely. I do have a fun treat. Let me see.
This is chocolate. Did you bring enough for the whole class?
No, it's not chocolate. It's something much more stimulating.
I don't like that laugh.
If either one of you recognize this, I will be severely impressed. Sincerely impressed with your nerd cred. I and the hills and dales that I had to go over to find this. You don't know, but I did it for you guys and for our audience. Are you ready?
Okay.
Do you recognize it?
The New Guardians?
Yeah.
Yeah, they spawned from the Millennium miniseries.
Sure. And this issue, does it stand out to you for any particular reason?
I know it's going to make me mad. But
No, it shouldn't. Not unless you're a joyless individual. In which case you might want to apply for work at the Mary Sue.
I can't remember. It's been too long.
Can't quite place it. Quiz, you? Anything?
No.
This comic has one thing that no other comic on Earth has. Jungle snow? Anything?
Cocaine?
Yes, and?
Oh, is this the dude whose superpower is to get really high on cocaine?
It introduces none other than the supervillain of Snowflame.
Yes.
The supervillain powered by cocaine.
Cocaine is my god.
So
I finally found a copy.
How many quarter boxes did you have to go through for that?
I don't want to talk about it.
Every cell of my being burns with white hot ecstasy. Cocaine is my god.
You even know the lines because I'm assuming they've been memed on 4chan forever and a day. Okay, so here it is. Just when they first meet him, they run into him, the Guardians, in a jungle, and he's just powerful, right? Like they could just beat on him and nothing ever happens. Punch, nothing. He's also quite fast. A blow like that, a blow.
I'm calling bullshit though. I do not see a single panel where his nose is bleeding.
Well, wait till you see till he takes a literal face full of cocaine later in the comic.
Yeah, he keeps licking his teeth, going, "My face is numb. I can't feel my teeth."
A blow like that would have sent any ordinary man reeling. But I am no ordinary man. Nor am I. I can see that. But I intend to savor our combat to the fullest. See, they just, he's wailing away and punching on it. It's doing nothing. I feel no pain. And he can't feel his face either. Although
Meta Winner, no, this is not Marvel's version of Santa Claus.
No, this is DC's version of Santa Claus.
No, this is Snorta Claus.
So they fight it out. Let's look at him. So of course he's down in like a South American jungle because of course he is. Let's just skip ahead to the part where the fun really starts. where they're talking, what are we going to do? How are we going to fight this guy? He's got this army behind him and so forth. And they rise up and go over. And this is so great. He's talking to his team, these are his background guys, his posse, if you will. And
His
he
hookers.
says, his hookers, yes, because, well,
Say they're all women in bikinis.
what cocaine drug lord doesn't have a bunch of bikini babes around him at all times?
I know, right?
Haven't you seen Scarface? You know how many bags we have to sell to the dealers, Manuel, to buy a Rolls Royce? 20, boss? Sniff, sniff. 10, Manuel. A paltry 10 bags. And that's terrible.
Ryan, is that Joe Biden? He had less hair back then. See, he sniffs the hair off of children to regrow his own. It helps him sniff out the reptilians that way.
Mother of God, he says, where are the lookouts? Laid out by a dose of alpha waves.
Mon.
Your bodyguards are no match for us. Your entourage is too high to give a damn. You cannot take on the 6 of us alone. We are going to shut down your operation. I love how he's just laughing at all of this. This guy's so high as fuck, he doesn't care. You have one chance to give yourself up, Snowflame. Give up? Give up the ultimate exhilaration, the divine rapture, the euphoria of electricity that now surges through every molecule of my body? Give up? I would no sooner choose of the soil from the I would no longer choose of the soil from your boots, guardians. Stop before he ignites. That's right. He's taking 2 full handfuls of cocaine to the face.
That will kill you.
Too late. Too bad. May this burn for everlasting. I am now a true god.
He just needs to say, may this burn everlasting, baby. He needs to throw in a baby there sometime.
You know what?
You know what's sad
Since we're in part 2 of the stream, I think I'm going to go back and make this the thumbnail of part 2.
You know what's sad is this is still better written than anything by Marvel now.
Yeah.
Oh, it totally is. Like, I mean, at least there's like a clear character. People are being, there's a objective that the villain has. There's an objective that the heroes have. They're fighting for something, which is to stop the cocaine drug lord. At least it's all going somewhere, and nobody's talking about food.
They're talking about nose candy.
I was gonna say.
Strike them down, my children. Then seek to steal your life's blood. I love how cocaine is their life's blood. That's great. They seek to destroy your cocaine god. I threw the cocaine part in, but that's clearly what he meant. Jesus.
Ryan Walters, I would cast Nicolas Cage to play him. No, Mike, that's not Iron Fist on crack.
And I love the accent they put on the character. All the coke has left them crazed. They feel no pain. And Floronic man here just can't do nothing.
Well,
Take
he's
your hand
helpless.
off me, meat.
The coca trees are growing off of him.
Yeah, right?
You don't hide your anger very well, warrior. I thought your kind was supposed to be inscrutable. Where's the part where he's it's, I guess if you read the background of this comic, it's really supposed to meant to be, here's the thing. This is an anti-drug message, by the way. Because
it's not working. It makes me want to go and have a bump of coke.
Does it really?
I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Like, it's like this is how messaging worked when it's like we want to work like drugs into the story, and it's like, well, we skipped over the part where he ran the villagers out and took over their village, and like he's clearly a like not just kind of villainous, but comic book villain kind of guy, and the level of evil that he's willing to go to. It's just fucking nuts. And it courses through every level. I am a god. Like, it's not presenting cocaine in a very good way, right? Not just yet, you fool warrior. My fire cannot be extinguished. The fire of cocaine.
Evolved Potato for $5. This comic is telling me to do cocaine to get superpowers. I know, right? And say it's almost like that one book I had to do for my high school book report once that said, literally, I'm saying it verbatim, cocaine gives black people superhuman strength. Well, he's not black, but he's definitely got superhuman strength.
Yeah.
My teeth itch.
You've never done cocaine. You can't feel your teeth. Anyway.
Thank you, Evolved Potato.
Depends what it's cut with, Polly.
Yeah.
Right?
I gotta poop. That's the baby laxatives they cut it with.
Hold on. I just have to jump forward here because I cannot. Yeah. I'm out of pages, ladies and gentlemen. He does get off. This is the one and only issue that he appears in. I ran out of pages to show you guys because I had to save at least 2 pages of not being streamed for the copyright gods. Mm-hmm. But they obviously kill him off panel. He just dies because he runs out. Like that's the idea, is he runs out of blow, so therefore he runs out of energy, and his entire life force is cocaine, because that's the only thing that makes him worthwhile. Get the message, you know. In the next, he actually, that's not the end of his henchmen. The Guardians fight him for the next couple of issues, but there really was a cocaine-powered supervillain, which I found hilarious, and I wanted a copy for myself. There was a time when they were willing to do something like that. I don't know. What do you guys think? Was it legendary for the fun of it? Experimental? Stupid?
I like Snowflame. I think they should bring him back.
Ebony Williams is what was the thought process for this comic? That's a great question. That's more or less what I'm asking the guys. Like, what
I could tell you, actually, because Guardians was supposed to be an environmental message to the book. That's how they were promoting it, was the new Guardians are guarding the Earth from environmental threats, because environmentalism was a new big thing in the news then.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it didn't last very long, because it was considered heavy-handed at the time.
Oh, wow.
So the year is 1988 for this. I don't know. You could, I don't even think it's a matter of like get away with a lot more. I mean, people use that. It's like, you'd never be able to make this movie now. You'd never be able to publish a comic like this now. It's more like the editorial staff would not be receptive to a storyline like that now. So the real question is why? What's changed there? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't know. There was, what's his name? North Star, comes out as gay back in the day. Like, what was that? 1990? I don't know. What the fuck
it was the early 90s.
Like, it was a long time ago, right? And it was ongoing as gay. It's not like they just wrote him as gay and then never talked about it again or brought it up every 5 fucking seconds. No, he just was. Now the to do it, it's done in a heavy-handed way. And I spend a lot of time now thinking about what has gone different with the editors. Where are they hoping to go with the stories that the very, very thin things that passes stories get told now. I mean, how much do we complain about how little happens in an issue now? It's like you can read through 22 pages and it's like nothing really happened. As a matter of fact, 5 pages were just taken up on it by a discussion between 2 people where they're repeating their questions back and forth to each other. Like, where were you last night when you said you were going to be here? Did you ask me where I was going to be last night? Yes, I did, Peter. I did ask you where you were going to be last night. Well, Mary Jane, I didn't know that you asked me where I was going to be last night. And it's just going back and forth between their faces. Nothing happens. When that 4 or 5 pages of conversation would have happened on half or 3/4 of a page worth of panels back in the day.
Yeah.
It's and this is decompressed storytelling, as it gets called. I don't know why that became popular. It's got something to do with the bad editorial choices that are being made. The experimental choices that are being made are not fun things like cocaine-powered supervillains. They're weirdo shit like the psychedelic Silver Surfer I showed you guys earlier. That's considered cool and out there. Who the fuck's going to buy that?
Got me, man.
You want the mean answer? You apparently. They got you. No, you're absolutely right, Polly. I mean, the major problem is that the experimental stuff, the stories that people were writing has gone the way of the dinosaur, at least for the most part. And the problem with it is that it's become the sort of industry standard now where they want to put in dialogue to tell the story. It doesn't always need to be that way. The prose can be written into the narration boxes as well as the word bubbles. And no one's telling a story anymore about an action. They want it to be all about human interaction. If you want to do that, write a fucking indie movie like Kevin Smith does. But of course, they're not going to be like Kevin Smith because they're talentless hacks. But the state of the comic book industry is not good. And the fact that we can come up with these sort of issues where they make an environmental message, and that has infinitely more gravitas than them bringing back a character that they had killed, rightly so, and for emotional impact, just because they wanted to impress their office girlfriend. Yeah, that's not a good direction to take your entire industry.
Yeah, the comic books have become more like the fanzines of the 80s, where it was, something to talk about yourself and talk about your love of whatever you like, not what is popular to the readers. They're writing stories where they insert themselves. They're writing these weird, like almost young adult novels where people are just sitting around talking in Whedon-esque ways. They don't actually do stuff. What they're a lot of times what they're doing when they actually do action issues is they do what a lot of filmmakers are doing when they remake something. They turn it into a joke.
Yeah.
Like Starsky and Hutch and Chips, those remakes were just making a joke out of the old shows. Whereas the old shows were not supposed to be comedies, they were serious. But they look at that and like, oh, look how silly this is. Let's make fun of it. So that's why fandom's so insulted. A lot of times they're just slapping you in the face like, haha, what you like is stupid. I'm gonna make it better by my Mary Sue characters, and I don't know. It just pisses me off. The subtlety's all gone too.
That's the thing. I think there's this fundamental disconnect because the audience are supposed to be the ones that take the piss out of the product, right? That should be where it happens. The product itself should not be trying to take the piss.
Yeah. Yeah, it's canonized fanfic. Thank you, no one nowhere.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And it's tiresome. And it is really a lack of respect for what came before and a lack of knowledge about what came before. A lot of these guys didn't grow up reading comics. They don't care about comic books. So to them, it's all a joke. And that would be fine if they're doing an indie book. But when they're doing mainstream titles, it's insulting that we've invested all the time and money in this hobby and they just come along and shit all over it.
Yeah. See, it's perfectly fine for the audience to shit all over it. It is.
Yeah, but there's always going to be people that don't like what you did. They're going to critique it. They're going to parody it, that sort of thing. That's just part of any fandom.
Yeah, well, not only that is that's perfectly permissible, and that's the sort of level where it's not the fact that we've created something special here with the whole Gwen-verse thing, and that being an in-joke within comic book curation. Mm-hmm. If Marvel were to come out and do that unironically, that would be a slap in our face because we were doing it to make fun of them. They're doing it unironically, as if it's a good idea for their characters. Right?
And they'd just be doing it as a shameless cash grab, and it would be lazy.
Yeah. I mean, there's all those sorts of things happening at Marvel, there's a fundamental lack of respect for the initial property. There's nothing wrong with the audience sitting there reading the comic and saying, well, that was kind of silly, I'm going to make fun of that, even though the person that was writing it in earnestness. They were honest, they were trying to tell a good story. They may not have fallen entirely right, or it could have been perfectly fine, but you still find something at least as a little bit humorous about it. There's plenty of people that like to take the piss out of things that they like. I know I do it all the time.
Yeah.
I make fun of the things that I like. But when the people that are making the things I like are making fun of the things I like within the things that I like, that is a level of meta that you can go fuck yourself with.
Well, it's a lot like bad movies. If you watch like The Room, oh hi Mark, that room,
Mark.
Yeah. Right.
that movie takes itself very seriously. It's a
Yes.
bad movie, but it takes itself seriously.
Yeah.
It doesn't like try and play up that it's jokey.
Yeah, that's why that's funny.
Exactly.
It's
That's why it
serious.
works. But
Yeah.
these writers have no respect for the source material. They have no respect to be serious within their own material. Everything is a joke, and therefore nothing matters. Same with the artists. Look how bad they are.
Yeah.
I don't know. Somehow I'm still feeling positive about comics lately. I know what it is.
Well-
I've been reading comics I've really been enjoying. I'm still going through Daredevil. New issue of a series that I've been enjoying came out today, and I read it and it was awesome. And so
Yeah, there's still good books out there. There's just fewer of them.
you saw the list of the spreadsheet that I cut and pasted from, like, this is how many comics Marvel's publishing. I mean, everybody says it. You guys need to cut how many comics you have. You know what left me feeling positive? I was rereading the time in 1996 when Marvel's stock collapsed underneath itself, the end of the speculator boom and so forth. We should do like a mini-sode edited episode or something like that to talk about, like, how did Marvel end up being owned by a separate company and then ended up being sold to Disney, being bought by a trading card company after they bought after they bought a trading card company.
Yeah.
And because their value went that low, and how Joe help me out here, Jack. Joe Quesada ended up going from being an artist to being the creative director of Marvel while still being an artist. Imagine the guy in charge of everybody's creative efforts is a guy who's drawing one comic book at the time. How weird would that be? Well, that was the state Marvel found itself in. And what did they do? They ended up like cutting all the things, and that's when the Ultimates universe started. Even when the thing completely collapses, it never completely collapses.
Because there's someone there to bail them out.
Well, it's just like, it's not like the thing still isn't of a fuck ton of value. It's not like there isn't still value that can be realized. It's just in its current state, it can't continue on. So it falls in on itself. Everyone's like, all the dead wood is gotten rid of, and it may end up in the hands of somebody, but it always ends up going in a different direction. Lots of people talked in 96, 98 from what I was reading, like the stories that are archived from back in the day, and they're not text searchable because they're all just archived image PDF files from back in the day, like newspapers and shit. They thought that's it. The King Marvel is dead. People were actually writing that when it's sold, it's going to be sold off in licensed pieces to different smaller companies. So one company's going to own Incredible Hulk, one company's going to own Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, etc.
That was a legitimate fear back then.
Yeah, and one guy came in, and everybody bitches about the Marvel characters being owned by a bunch of different movie studios. That was one of the ways they did it, by selling. We're going to sell the movie rights to this company and to this company, and that's how they got the revenue to stay in business. And that's how all those companies ended up with the different rights, all those different characters to make movies about them. That's what kept Marvel afloat. It's not like there isn't still a fuck ton of value in this stuff, and there is. I don't want to see it collapse, but it's like the last time that Marvel was able to change direction and go somewhere that wasn't the crazy speculator boom insanity of the radical 90s. Remember when everything was extreme and all that bullshit they were doing? What ended that? Financial collapse. Yeah, well, you guys are, I think, cardboard and baling wire. I think that's what's holding it up right now, and it can't last forever.
Yeah, most likely what Disney will do is just shut it down. If it gets bad enough, they're not going to the presses going forever. They'll license it out to IDW or somebody like that, or
Yeah,
they'll create a subsidiary that does it because they already own multiple comic book universes
yeah,
that aren't being used. They
yeah.
own Malibu and all the Ultraverse stuff. They own Cross Gen, and they had Gladstone for a while. So Disney's got a lot of properties laying around that they don't do anything with.
Yeah, and I mean, there's like no kidding. They don't do anything with these guys hear me complain about like Moon Knight and Silver Surfer, and what do you do with them? Like they're reliable, guaranteed that they're going to move at least X amount of thousand issues per month, but yet you don't do anything with them. You just keep restarting them, and restarting them, and you get Surfer taint.
Yeah.
Jesus fuck. And IDW is not the answer. Mike Parlett says, yeah. I mean, talk about financial mismanagement. Look at all the awesome properties that IDW has. IDW is kicking ass with their Star Trek stuff right now. Talk about a guaranteed property that's going to be able to move. What's wrong with you guys?
Yeah.
You've obviously got good writers and good artists on your team. What's with the financial mismanagement?
Well, a lot of that was left over from their social justice binge.
Tirades, yeah.
And that really crippled them. That put them down into the dumps, especially with the Aubrey Sitterson thing. On G.I. Joe.
Aubrey Sitterson. You know, see, that's the thing. Before I even knew who Aubrey Sitterson was in the comic world, I had heard him on a podcast, and I thought he was actually kind of funny. But then I go and I read some of the comics, I'm like, oh, you crazy. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, he should have stuck to wrestling comics and doing wrestling podcasts because that's really his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And he couldn't handle criticism from the fans over what he was doing with G.I. Joe, which was terrible.
Oh, yeah. It was awful.
And yeah, it's just
IDW was owned by Marvel.
Yeah, they've got all the Hasbro licenses because Hasbro markets all their stuff out at once. If you want to get G.I. Joe, you have to take everything else. It's a bundle deal.
Yeah.
So they've got everything Hasbro. They got Visionaries, Transformers, G.I. Joe, etc., etc. That's a massive amount of stuff, and they could really do a lot with that, but they keep running into problems with their creators because they keep hiring the same crap that everybody else has. If you go back and read the Visionaries Transformers book that Mags Visaggio did, that was like reading a novel. It's unreadable.
You know, I wonder in the landscape of the cultural, you know, sort of era there, if the whole phenomenon of the whole My Little Pony thing didn't keep IDW alive during that era.
Yeah. IDW was struggling so bad that when they were relying on like the consistent sales of My Little Pony, which is a real well-written book for younger readers and bronies.
Yeah.
They have Mask and GoBots, and I showed you guys what they did with the GoBots, where it's that weird, like, childlike drawing. It's
Mask, dude, Mask. I haven't seen anything from Mask since the 80s.
They did a couple of different series with Mask, and they tried to create a unified Hasbro universe, and some of that was pretty good, but again, it was very hit and miss. You had a lot of, like, weird talent in there that just they hire poor writers. And like their Transformers book is great right now. It's shockingly good. Their Star Trek stuff's great, like Polly said. They're really kind of picking it back up, but people aren't willing to give them the chance. And I think that's a mistake because they do produce some really good stuff.
Yeah. It's the sort of thing. It's a cautionary tale, and I don't want to bury IDW because of it, but good Lord, if there's any case example that immediately shows to never kowtow to the whole social justice crowd, that they will always hurt your business, it's IDW.
Yeah. I mean, they're probably going to end up going bankrupt, and they have the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles license.
Really?
Yeah, they've been producing Turtles for almost 100 issues. They did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles ongoing series. They've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Universe, which ran for like 27. They're reprinting Urban Legends, which was the Image series that was never finished. I've been reviewing those. They're all pretty good. But if you don't know they're producing it because your comic shop is stocking all these garbage Marvel books, you're not going to know. But I really like a lot of IDW's books. I think they do a lot of really good work, especially recently. But you wouldn't know it by, because you're not picking them up. Quite honestly, the Marvel's flooding the shelves, and IDW's got a tainted reputation.
Well, yeah. Speaking of IDW, I mean, Jack has a new review of Year 5 up on his channel, Bad Comic Reviews. You should check out, because Year 5 is awesome. I'm reading it myself and I'm digging it. It's awesome. I'm gonna keep buying it, is what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
it's absolutely worth the money, and I'm having a good time with it. Greatest thing I ever read, not so far, but it's totally worth the money. Absolutely. And it's got a reread value to it, so fuck yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun.
So, and I'm going to be doing an edited video coming up about some IDW stuff as well. So, yeah, their problem is not with some of the writers and artists that they have on staff. They clearly got talent, and they got some great licenses. It's money management, and whew. But on that note, gentlemen, it's time to pitch. We've been streaming forever and a fucking day.
Yeah.
So I can go first. I'm set up already if you want.
Sure.
Okay.
I don't care if I've pitched this before. I'm pitching it again because it's new stuff, and I bought it today, and I'm excited by it. Symbiote Spider-Man #3. The new issue just came out today.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. If you haven't seen my video on why is Symbiote Spider-Man so good, well, what are you doing? It's sitting right there on my channel, ready to be watched at any time, and it's 15 minutes of hotness, man. Where I explain the background of like what the hell the series is and so forth, so I won't pain you with that now. You can go watch that later if you're so inclined. The Symbiote Spider-Man 3 just continues on at the same thing. It's absolutely worth it. It's $4, man. It's new Spider-Man that's totally worth the money, taking place back in the mid 80s. It's a throwback story to Spider-Man back in the day. And take note, people, this is what Electro looks like. He's not a former nerd blue guy.
And Jamie Foxx is awful.
Yeah.
Why does it seem they want to turn black people blue? Just saying, man. Will Smith, Jamie Foxx.
It's a good point.
Good point. The story continues on as where it was left, where Kingpin gets involved. You have Mysterio being a lot of the comic is shown from Mysterio's perspective. Peter David is writing. Peter David is one of their better writers that they have available. They must have paid him well to do this, because Peter David's doesn't come cheap. Greg Land, the art isn't the best. It's clearly digital art, but at least it's not as obviously traced as some of Land's previous stuff. There's Quentin Beck, Mysterio. You see, like I said, a lot of the story told from his perspective and Spider-Man's. It's flipping between both of them, and then the story reaches its main story beats when they meet up against each other. You see what Mysterio had planned and what Spider-Man thought Mysterio was planning, and then how it ends up going the way neither of them thought when they actually end up encountering each other, either by accident or on purpose. It's a good story. Black Cat in this story, this is long before he was in a relationship with Mary Jane. So Felicia Hardy, the Black Cat, is his girlfriend. She ends up going in a direction in this story that I didn't think she was going to go. She's kind of a two-faced bitch. And she always was. Felicia Hardy was out for herself. She is, after all, a cat burglar. And yeah, she ends up kind of being not the most trustworthy person in the world in this issue. I'm going to leave it at that. But yeah, if you're looking for something new to buy, and that story is always floating around out there, what then is when Spider-Man gets involved and Electro shows up? Where should I start? I don't even know where to start. If you want to buy something new that's on the shelves right now, Symbiote Spider-Man. Well, I mean, why not? It's totally worth the cover price. The art is awesome. Back when Spider-Man had a cool suit. It's written by Peter David, who's a great author. There isn't 1,000 tons of lore on it because it is a mid-80s story. So it's Spider-Man sans 30 odd years of lore. So the Clone Saga hasn't happened. All that other crap that nobody hasn't happened. Superior Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse hasn't happened. This is a real basic, straightforward superhero story. Love it. By all means, recommend it.
I can go.
Sure.
All right. I am pitching 1987's The Beast Warriors of Shaolin from Pied Piper Comics. I found this in a discount bin. It was $0.25. It's awesome. I think it was $0.25. Whatever. It was less than $1. Now, this was an indie book. Pied Piper produced some fairly random stuff. They went on to produce only a few issues of every title they produced. But if you like martial arts action, this is a good time. We got these guys that are actually animals that are channeled into human form. You got ninjas. The guys are hanging out at Shaolin Temple. Like, this is Snake, who was a snake at one point. This is Dragon. He became a human too. But they all have the powers of their creatures still. But they all, of course, know martial arts. See, that's how you know he's a dragon. He's got a dragon on his hand.
Oh.
And he's talking about leaving the temple to go out and look for another dragon that might be out there. It's a whole thing, but it's a really fun, kind of goofy indie book from the 80s, where in the 80s, this would have been considered overpriced and probably trash. But you know what? Still better than most of modern Marvel. Way more plot. It's action-packed. Yeah, the art's kind of bad, kind of goofy, but it's fun. It's a good time. I enjoyed it quite a bit. And if you're digging through discount bin looking for something new to read, it only had 3 issues. They were all good, and they were all full of action. Now, also, since we were talking about IDW, I wanted to talk about a title that came out recently that I did a video on that was going to be my pitch from last week, which was Marvel Action Classics Spider-Man 2-in-1. This reprints 2 older stories of Spider-Man from like 10 years ago, I think. I didn't know about these stories, but I picked this up on a whim. It's a one-shot. It has 2 stories where Spider-Man encounters the Enchantress, ends up in Asgard, and he also has to save Flash Thompson and the other story from being bitten by the werewolf by night. They were really good stories. Spider-Man's actually funny. His quips are good. The art's pretty solid. You don't see stories like these in modern books. So if you're looking for a good Spider-Man tale, I wanted to throw this out there that I had fun reading this. And it's the first time I've read Spider-Man in a long time where it was actually good. That wasn't like really old issue.
Well, I'm going to break the cycle here and not pitch a Spider-Man book.
Yeah, it wasn't intentional. Shit.
My pitch for today is going to be, well, here, hold on. It's written by, God, where the hell is the credit page? Of course, there's no credit page. You fucking assholes image. Anyway,
What's going on over there?
I couldn't find it. My pitch is going to be Curse of the Spawn, issue 5, 6, 7, and 8. This follows, in my opinion, a very interesting story about this woman named, and I can pull this up right here. There's a good spread here. Suture.
Huh.
She is the essentially like a person who's brought back to life through voodoo magic after she was killed by a serial killer. And it's that voodoo magic that's kind of like, you know, coursing through her veins that allows her to essentially be the spirit of vengeance for the Ghost Rider. She runs around New York finding serial killers and murders them in horrible, horrible fashion. And if you couldn't tell there with the covers, it's really all about Sam and Twitch. The story is about them trying to solve these mysterious and brutal murders because of a supernatural entity that's stalking New York. And in my opinion, it was the Spawn writing at its finest. And yeah, I won't go into too much detail. The story for Suture and how she becomes, how she dies, is really brutal and really uncomfortable. But if you can stomach that sort of thing, absolutely pick up these 4 issues. They are amazing and a really good read.
Okay. It's horrifying.
It is. It's definitely a horror book. Curse of Spawn was actually built around the because the Curse of Spawn is oh god, how many issues was it? It ran for 29 issues. It's compartmentalized stories told in different numbers. So like 5 through 8 was the story about suture. Well, 1 through 4 was a story about like post-apocalyptic Earth after like the war between heaven and hell has spilled over and like onto Earth, and so all of the people that are still left alive are like refugees trying to fight against the hordes from hell. And it's really interesting because it's much more dark and brutal than Spawn normally is. So yes,
I kind of want to read that, but I don't know. No, that's some heavy duty horror shit.
It is. It's extreme. Like, I don't want to get into it too much because it might even be too much for some people. But yeah, no, how she goes about dying to become Suture. Yeah, I wouldn't wish on anyone. Let's put it that way. They pulled no punches with the storytelling.
Well, there it is. And yeah, I don't know. Do you guys care that Rob Liefeld's no longer on Twitter?
No, I never interacted with him.
You didn't follow him?
No.
That's probably good. I mean, people just shit on him all the time.
Yeah, right.
Well, people just shit on him all the time, and it was like but it was amazing. Like he went through this like really quick. I mean, it's the end of the show, but it's just like, I mean, I guess that's a story we could have talked about, Rob Liefeld leaving Twitter, but I don't know. We'll cover that like next week after it plays out for a little bit, because it kind of like just happened where it's like Rob Liefeld says, DC is going to implode on itself. And I'm glad I got out when I could. A whole bunch of other comic pros come out and they're like, fuck you, Rob. Like, it's like, holy shit. It's just like, Twitter social media generally has not been good for the comic book industry at all. Because if any one thing, it's revealed what a lot of these people are best in their creative mode, not any other mode. Because when you find out what they talk like, it's like, you are just a bunch of assholes. Every one of you.
You're a miserable person. Yeah.
Like, I'm sure there's nice people in the comic book industry, but the assholes sure are able to put a spotlight on themselves. And like, ever since comicsgate started, you start seeing just how quick they are to fuck you, you fucker. Like, it's like, oh my God, I thought you were nice people.
No, they think they're rock stars, and they're really not.
Yeah,
they're garage bands.
But I mean, I'm not trying to argue that Rob Liefeld is some kind of like injured party here, and he was the one that was done wrong. Like, he talks as much shit on Twitter as anybody, and he's on all the fucking, he's on Instagram, he's on everything. So, well, in any case, well, that is our show for this week, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for being here, and thank you for continuing on, those of you who did, to our second stream. And if you haven't already, like this particular stream, because now we got 2 of them up for today, even only minutes apart. Final thoughts for the week are always as they are. Buy used editions and get started with something that's likable and digestible in the current year. There is stuff out there that's absolutely worth the price. Don't feel intimidated. And yeah, Jack, Quiz, any final thoughts?
Thanks for the donations, and try out some indie books. You might find something you like. There's good stuff out there. Just got to find it.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you all again for the donations to me as well. Yeah, look into the back issues, look into the bargain bins. You can be pleasantly surprised with a whole bunch of, new comics that you didn't even know existed. As well as, I've beat the drum a lot. Definitely go online and look for conventions and things like that. There's no better place to find comics and interact with people to find out, new stuff than at places like comic book conventions. And you don't have to go to something like, say, Comic Con in San Diego. You can find something really small and local.
Well, really quick, Frosted Glass, did you guys cover Bret Easton Ellis being on Bill Maher? I didn't even know he was on Bill Maher, but I'm going to go watch it immediately because I'm a big fan of Bret Easton Ellis. And with any luck, you'll tear the fuck into Bill Maher. Bill Maher is going to be smart enough to not fuck with him. But Bill Maher's not too smart of a guy. So
No, he's not.
Yeah. In any case, there it is. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.